All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you, just like me. Very real music here. So I've decided to comment on the most popular song right now on planet Earth. And the song has struck a chord, and rather than uh, make people aware of the reality that is the United States right now. The song, of course, is drawing all kinds of criticism from the usual media sources that hate everything when it espouses a viewpoint that doesn't agree with their prescribed daily narrative of nonsense. So let me read you the lyrics to this song. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullcrap pay. So I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. I wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. Because your dollar ain't bleep and it's taxed to no end because of rich men north of Richmond. I wish politicians would look out for miners, like coal miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Wow. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control, want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, because your dollar ain't bleep and it's taxed to no end because of rich men north of Richmond. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullcrap pay. That's it. So the song, if you haven't picked up on the title, is Rich Men North of Richmond. A lot of people are talking about this song. And the reason they're talking about this song is because this song has struck a nerve. And the people who are now critiquing and criticizing the song don't understand. They don't understand what's going on in this country. They don't get it. And it almost seems, just this has the same feel when I went to go see The Sound of Freedom. And I thought to myself, who could object to this movie? Now, the welfare comments, obviously, in the song are probably the most controversial. But imagine being in that checkout line. I know a lot of people who've experienced this. And, you can keep quiet, and most people do. But they make a mental note of what is happening. And people are judgmental. They look at the person in front of them and they go, well, doesn't look like they're malnourished, right? And what does that mean, right? Does it mean that the system is creating this? Will we have the guts to even review something like this, or we just put everything on autopilot and, well, they qualified before, maybe they don't need all of these benefits, but they continue to just get them. And it seems like there's always a protest always an outcry for more. So the media, of course, hates this. They hate it. Here's a headline from Yahoo News. Oliver Anthony's Rich Men North of Richmond is an instant smash among conservatives. Okay, stop. Full stop. When did it become, rather, that the only people in this country who can understand the plight of the working class are conservatives? And immediately we have to throw a label on everything. Well, it's conservatives that like Oliver Anthony. He's singing from their hymnal. I grew up, and when I was younger, I think my parents were both Democrats, although they didn't vote, which drove me crazy. But they would tell me all about what they supported. And maybe that's the way I am today. And Democrats in those days seemed to be for the working class. They seemed to be against, the rich, wealthy, elite, and they were the party of the working class. So it's bizarre that now those values have flipped around, and this is some kind of a conservative anthem. By the way, doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, in pretty much every state they give out benefits, and it's not that hard to get the benefits. It really isn't. You do have to present some kind of a need, but once you're on there, it's hard to get you off of it. And nobody wants to look at this objectively. Now, that's an issue from like 20 years ago. But the point I was trying to make here, because I'm all over the place, is this is an instant smash among conservatives. And the next line could be, and liberals hate it. No, it says, while progressives wonder if he's a plant, he, meaning the singer, Oliver Anthony, the industry planted him. Huh? This is, you want to talk about conspiracy theories, right? So someone like me, because I question the vaccine narrative, right? I'm the conspiracy theory. These people think this dude from the Virginia backwoods is a plant. He's a plant. The suspicions of progressive music fans. So I love how they divide. Are you a progressive music fan? Or, now, they're not talking about prog rock here, by the way. They're talking about if you're progressive and you like music, therefore you're a progressive music fan. Anyway, the suspicions of progressive music fans have largely to do with the fast numbers he's racked up as an independent artist with supposedly no industry backing whatsoever. Okay. The Rich Men video, hosted not on his own YouTube page, but that of a site that promises real music, real people, real culture, kind of sounds like my kind of thing, has racked up 12 million views in 6 days. By the way, the track is on YouTube, and it's got far more than 12 million. The red-bearded upstart, I love how they describe him, has accumulated 341,000 X followers, formerly known as Twitter, within days of registering on the site. Okay, on the iTunes downloads chart, he has the top 3 songs as of this writing, and 5 of the top 10. Oh, horrors. And while paid downloads are hardly a solid measure of broad success nowadays, Anthony's breakout tune has cracked the top 10 on a much more indicative one, Spotify's Daily USA Top 50. Oh no. It's a phenomenon not unlike the recent rise of Jason Aldean's similarly right-rousing Try That in a Small Town, but with a literally friendlier face. Oh, okay. So Oliver Anthony, he's a friendlier face. His critics maintain he is punching down as well as up with the song's lyrics about the obese milk and welfare. Yeah, that was a pretty good line, actually. And then the fat cats in Washington, D.C., that are ostensibly the main target of the tune. Actually, he's just talking about his own experiences. His targets are not anyone specifically. He's worried that the country has gone to hell. That's what he's worried about. And they go on. They're basically now trying to dox this guy, which, I'm sure it's just going to get worse for him. What's known about Anthony, who has a minimal news or paper trail up to this point, comes largely through a YouTube monologue he put up a few days before releasing Rich Men. In that speech, he declares himself nonpartisan. Oh, really? I sit pretty dead center down the middle of politics and always have, Anthony says, facing the camera from behind the wheel. I remember as a kid the conservatives wanting war and me not understanding that. And I remember a lot of the controversies when the left took office, and it seems like, both sides serve the same master. And that master is not someone of any good to this people or this country. All right, I'm going to stop reading because that's just perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Politically homeless. All right? Yeah, remember the left used to be anti-war? And now the left is all like, how much more stuff can we send Ukraine? Well, Putin's bad. Well, how much more can we send them? I said on the other channel that I do, I think it's going to cost like $6 billion to fix Maui. And we just authorized like another $24 billion for Ukraine. I don't know. And by the way, both parties just threw in. If you don't think this is a problem that is across the political spectrum, I know you might have your pet peeve candidate or party or whatever. I mean, believe me, the Democrats, they're Marxists, okay? At this point, most of them are Marxists. And they'll tell you what their agenda is. And then you go in the history books and you look up what Marxism, communism, socialism, you look up all those things. That's what they are. This is some working class stiff, at least the character in the song, who just can't understand what's going on. He gets up, he goes to work, he's spent at the end of the day, he probably buys a 6-pack on the way home, and by 8 o'clock, all the bottles are empty, right? Trying to drown his sorrows. He turns on the news, and there's ridiculous things on the news. There are people that are dividing the country on the news. This song isn't divisive. This song is truthful. As far as waiting in the checkout line, everyone I know has had that experience. And if you've ignored it, good for you. But pretty much everybody I know says, wow, it's pretty cool that they didn't have to pay anything for that. And yeah, look, am I against all of that? No. I think in some circumstances, you get down on your luck. Yeah, there should be some form of temporary assistance for you. It shouldn't be a way of life. It shouldn't be a lifestyle unless you have some kind of disability. But it's a case-by-case thing. It's not just like, sign it. It's okay. They meet that demographic. And somebody's like, well, you're not really buying very nutritious or healthy food, are you? See, this is the thing. Once you become part of the system, people are going to analyze what you're doing. All right, but that's not what this is about. This is really about rich men north of Richmond, the people in D.C. It's brilliant in that because of where he lives and how he set that up. Geographically, it just sounds like, okay, there are a bunch of people who are in this place and they're really part of both parties. You should be for the working class, not for the class that isn't going to do anything and is going to just use the system. And, look, grace is a good thing. I believe in grace. Give people, cut them some slack. But then at some point, you got to come back around and say, hey, I notice things aren't really changing. What's going on? You really need to do X. If, it's like a telling a child, hey, I've noticed your behavior really hasn't changed. And so we're going to ground you, or we're going to take away your Nintendo for a week. And that usually does something. If you know there are consequences, you might act differently. Of course, we've trained multiple generations to not be embarrassed or shamed by it. That's why they get a card now, like a credit card. Just swipe the card, But as far as the people who are running this place, and his comment, which, this lyric about the miners, take care of the coal miners. Don't worry about the miners on the island. The miners. Ooh, it's a conspiracy theory that island didn't exist. Of course it existed. Well, everybody knows it exists. It's not a conspiracy theory. You would think some rock stars would start writing some cool lyrics and putting out some songs like a concept album. The trip to Epstein Island. Something just like anything that would be provocative, you would do really well. But everybody's like, I ain't talking about this. I get money from Pfizer. I'm just going to back off, Who's sponsoring this hour of music here on my station? Nope, sorry, not going to touch it. This guy he leapfrogged over an entire industry. Imagine you go out to your backyard, you got a microphone and your guitar, and you belt out this song with crazy passion. And people resonate with those words. This isn't an industry plant. Why would Nashville do anything like this? And, was it the conservative Republican campaign for president that did this to sway the country to their way of thinking? No, because they're not that smart. They're ridiculous, so they wouldn't think of this. Oliver Anthony is a superstar now. And I'm sure his life was simple and normal, and now it's going to be crazy and chaotic, and people are going to be tearing him apart for what he thinks. Because he said the quiet part out loud in the song. And you can't do that. Because you're a right-winger. You're a right-winger. No, he says, I'm kind of down the middle. And I talk to people like this all the time. They're like, Dave, I was never political. I was a normie, quote-unquote normie. I didn't get involved in this. And then I saw what they were doing to kids. And I see what they're doing in D.C. with money, and I see them trying to force me to do something that I don't want to do. Somebody challenged me about the bodily autonomy thing. And this was after I did commentary about how people were dying. And they said, so you really don't care about bodily autonomy then because you want to pry into their business. And I'm like, there is no bodily autonomy if you're dead. There is none. There's privacy, but there's no bodily autonomy, brainiac. It just, and so you sit here and you think to yourself, am I the only one? It's an Aaron Lewis song. Am I the only one? I must be the only one that thinks this way. But then you meet other people, you talk to other people, but they're like, shh, I'm behind my desk right now. I can't say anything because the boss will hear me. But I agree with you. I just can't say anything about it. I might lose my job. This is going to be like the Underground Railroad of America, Part 2. Oh, how dare you compare the Underground Railroad. You know what, folks? We're all kind of underground. I mean, I'm being shadow banned as I speak. I'm being shadow banned. I mean, it's not as if my commentary is earth-shattering. Other people do better commentary. But here's the thing. I should be doing a little better than I'm doing, right? That's the way I look at it. So, super long video here, which I've done longer videos. Oliver Anthony, go listen to the song if you haven't heard it. And he deserves all the success he's getting. I just worry that the poor guy is going to get destroyed because these people have an agenda. And even these articles you read and you're like, okay, he's just for conservatives, huh? He's not for people who just feel sold out. Because if you don't feel sold out by the system, then you must be a good person. You're a good person because you're complying. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? You're complying. You like the corpse who's currently the president. You think he's a good corpse. you'd like to see him run again and win again because the country is just going so well. The interest rates are low. The housing market is great. People can find low, cheap, affordable housing all across the country. Food is at an all-time low price. People are just loading up their carts at the grocery store. They're not choosing between, say, paying their power bill or going to the grocery store. People don't do that. No. And people are stuck in certain living situations, but they like it. They like being cramped. They like living with their parents forever. They like those sorts of things. If you like those things, then you're part of the system, and we like you. If you complain about it, then we single you out as a conservative. I don't know. I've watched a lot of commentators who are more left of center, who agree with 99% of that song. You know, the welfare stuff they might have a problem with, but it depends. Depends on the context. I have seen it, and this guy said something that most people wouldn't say. So he had a little bit of courage to do that. And you know what's weird is people can record vulgar songs. They can just pepper them with all kinds of obscene language, and they can go number one on the R&B or the rap charts. Nobody ever complains about that because that's all part of the system. The coarseness, the vulgarity. Well, Dave, this guy used bad words in the song. Yup, he did. And those bad words actually made a point. Because I think, unfortunately, even though they're bad words, they were kind of appropriate in that context. It's not like you're using F-bombs as adjectives, bleeping this and bleeping that, and bleep you and bleep the world you live in and blah, blah. No, this was appropriate. This was appropriate anger for a situation which just seems hopeless. So these are my thoughts. They're my own. They're not yours. You don't have to agree with me. A lot of people want me to just talk about the stuff I talked about when I first started doing this channel. And from time to time, if there's material there, I will cover it that way. But if there's no material, and this is, music related, Oliver Anthony, he's got the number one song in the world. On the world, in the world. He's got the number one song. All right. I'm running out of gas here. But you know what? I'm just going to go solar, and I'm not going to worry about the gas. So it's a way to go. Just plug myself in. Actually, what I ought to do is unplug and then plug back in, and maybe I'll work the way the factory settings had me at one point. Thanks for watching, folks. Check out the song by Oliver Anthony. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That would be really helpful. It really would. And watch the videos. The revenue apocalypse continues. So maybe, just maybe, I'll start applying for benefits at some point.